we talk about how to put your best project manager on every IT project, we really need to take a step back first before addressing putting your best project manager on every IT project and looking at it at a higher level and looking at if a project or effort is reviewed in detail by experts with knowledge plus proven processes on a regular basis, you will ultimately experience control, governance, communications, and visibility. You're going to hear that a lot today throughout the webinar. Control, governance, communications, and visibility. When we talk about control is knowing what is really happening. So oftentimes on projects, managers, team leaders, systems analysts, whatever your role in the project is, you don't feel comfortable in knowing, what exactly is going on. Is everyone on the same page? So again, having those streamlined communications up and down the pipeline and understanding, making sure that everyone is in fact on the same page. And when we talk about governance, we talk about quality assurance and best practice review and early risk identification. And then finally, communications and visibility. That is the effective communications up and down the pipeline and the accurate, timely dashboards that you're really going to need to allow that manager to make a decision in order to stay in front of issues before they become fires, thus reducing your overall cost and allowing you to proceed forward on any given project at any time. And now when we talk about control and we talk about knowing what is really happening, we often talk about management by walk around. And what that term means is years ago, that's what people did on the shop room floor. They would walk from person to person, tap on shoulders, make sure that their people are doing what they're supposed to be doing, that everyone was as close to on the same page as possible. In fact, if we look at an example with Hewlett-Packard, that's really where this concept began. It was devised by David Packard and Bill Hewitt, originally conceived as really a morale booster. Packard and Hewitt put emphasis on studying the effect of all their techniques. And HP saw that the managers who more frequently engaged their teams were also reevaluating decisions and reprioritizing risks, issues, making sure that they were identified earlier in the project life cycle. HP also saw that managers who more frequently engaged their teams were also reevaluating decisions and reprioritizing risks, issues earlier in that project. So just, again, making sure that everyone was on the same page is really what Hewlett-Packard was ensuring with this management by walk around, and now with such a global economy, we don't really have the luxury of being able to do that in person any longer. We have people that are working in different countries. It could very well just be down the street, but it's very rare, unless you're a very small shop, that it's just a few people and you're able to rather really be able to have that management by walk around. And moving on, when we talk about quality assurance reviews, we talk about early operational insight to enable risk mitigation, effective project control and governance, the leverage of historical trends, data, and metrics, improve resource performance and productivity, and the enforcement of practices and standards. Quality assurance is really fitting into governance, which is what we talked about as our really second main focus point in the presentation. Here at Computer Aid, how we establish all of these items is through Automated Project Office. That's what's ensuring the control, governance, communication, and visibility is really always occurring. And when we talk about making sure that our best project manager is on the right project, you ultimately need to have those three things in order to make sure that you do have your best project manager on the project at any given time. And not only that, but do you have the right skills? Do you have the right skills on the right project? Is the training taking place on the project at the right times? If not, what you often see is, but once it's too late, the right training did not take place, so additional cost needs to be added to the project overhead in order to rearrange resources on your projects, or at the very least, you need to bring training in that really should have taken place in the first place. And then, lastly, if you don't have the right project manager on your team, that can be an absolute nightmare, because it starts with the leader, as we all know, with setting expectations with the client And if you have to make a change at the top with your project manager, in many cases, you have to start from scratch. So what I'm going to do now, before I come back to our presentation, I'm actually going to try to get out to just our site here and show many of these dimensions of project management that I'm speaking about. When we talk about the human dimensions, and we've been able to factor in certain things from the PMI Institute. And so when we talk about putting your best project manager on your best project, really showing you what that means, how we're able to do it, and how it has a positive effect on project management across all of your projects. Everyone should now see 6 dials here on our screen: cost, schedule, scope, quality, human resources, and vendor management. Most often, tools, like project management tools, only cover like a hard data approach, where they're not factoring in the human dimension. And right there, that's the correlation back to, having that human dimension is the correlation back to ensuring that you do have your best project manager on every IT project every time. These are the dimensions that are allowing you to make those types of decisions to make sure that you have the awareness in order to have your best people on the right project at the right time. So what does that mean? How are we able to gather this data, display this data back to managers and team leaders in order to allow them to make those decisions before they realize it's too late, that they don't have the best project manager on the project at the right time, the skills are wrong, that the cost is not accurate with what the expectations were, and you have a lot of rework as a result. So what occurs is we have a series of questionnaires that take place by project role. Everyone is assigned a project role. And as you can see on my screen, it's whether it's an analyst, a designer, developer, program manager, everyone gets assigned a role on a project, and then a series of what I would say are very smart assessments, which were developed by industry experts, making sure that these questions are assigned to these respondents, to these people that are going to be, responding to the assessments. Some of these questions might be, is project status adequately communicated to team members? My team leader manager solicits feedback from me on a routine basis. My job requirements allow me to balance my work and personal life. I am satisfied with the technical competency of the team. My team leader manager is willing to listen to my concerns and ideas when I present them. Within this reporting period, have issues been addressed in a timely manner? And then, based on the tasks the team is responsible for, A, B, and C, this is just a series of questions. We have several here that we could be going through, but I just wanted to give you all just a feel for what it means to relate this back to the dashboards and to the presentation that I'm describing today. Now, at any given time, these questions can change based on the culture of the environment of which automated project office is set up in. It can be deleted, can be added, again, it can be reworded, and then the roles can change as well. So none of that is hard-coded. It's all very, very customizable. But that's the answering of those questions and going through what I would describe as our control room, which will be shown on our presentation momentarily. It's going through that control room and really going through an artificial intelligence form of going through smart rules and then allowing this to display back to the decision makers, if you will, and then ultimately getting back to our topic today of making sure that you do in fact have the best project manager on every IT project and you're not just guessing as such.